for daily Ask Reddit. r/Ask Reddit. People who realize they were the villain in someone else's story. What's your side of story? If you like the video, drop a like and subscribe so you never miss a video. I farted in a crowded elevator and tried to cough at the same time to cover up the noise, but did not time it well. Squeak ow squeak. These days you need to fart to cover your cough. I realized that I was about to become a passenger in my own life, so I called off the wedding. I never should have proposed, and I still feel bad about it when I think about it. But there's no doubt, I was the villain. Hard decision and realization. Your unhappiness would only have brought unhappiness in this union. This villainous act led to most probably a better outcome for the both of you. Thanks for sharing. Yes, I agree. The thing that made me feel justified in the whole thing is that a mutual friend told me that she got married about 6 months after I called it off. They've had a few kids since then and are reportedly still married. Probably when I broke up with my girlfriend that I started dating in high school. We had made some plans about me going into the military or joining the police force so I could provide for us once we got married. Then I was like, yeah, no, I don't want to do any of that. I'm 19 and I left. She was pregnant by another man less than a year later. I'm gonna join the military, mom. I'm gonna make my nation proud. Turns 19. Yeah, no, I don't want to do any of that. Unfortunately, there were thousands more who turns 19 or yeah, I want to do all of that. We had recruiters come to my high school on the regular and heavily push signing up once we were 18, and we were forced to take the ASVAB my junior year. I actually was threatened with suspension by my teacher at the time for not wanting to take it. So I shitted through it, still got visits to my house and phone calls 4 years after I graduated and went to university. I guess it's what happened with my ex. I fell in love with him hard, and he realized he didn't love me, so he broke up with me, but really liked me, and wanted to stay friends. So I remained his friend for 2 months, but my feelings got so out of control I started hounding him to get back with me. He got sick of this, and cut me off. I just went ballistic, and would turn up at his house and cry and beg to speak to him. I'd text non-stop. I was pure nice girl. I eventually became suicidal and was hospitalized a few times, and they suggested I had borderline personality disorder. In the end it turned out I didn't, and we still don't know why I ended up like that, but I effectively stalked him for a year. Sending him a text on a burner number would ease my anxiety for a moment, even though it caused him suffering. In the end he got a restraining order out on me, and I came to my senses and left him alone. I hate myself for what I did to him, and still wonder what snapped in my brain to make me act like that. If you're out there, Lance, I'm very sorry, and I promise I'm still working on myself to get better. Okay, so this weird misunderstanding happened when I was visiting the Netherlands. I'd just bought a sandwich from one of the bakeries and was sitting by the canal eating it when this massive duck jumps out the water and goes straight towards me with its eyes fixed on my sandwich. I'm kinda worried it's gonna try to grab it off me, so I wave my foot in its direction to try to ward it off. The duck stops at my feet and just sits there staring at me while I eat. Okay, whatever, it's just going to sit there and not bother me, I think, so I just ignore it and continue eating my sandwich. Not long after this, a woman approaches me and speaks to me in Dutch. I look at her blankly and she keeps speaking, so I say, sorry, I don't understand. She switches to broken English and starts saying, you make yourself big, you kick the duck. I continue to stare blankly, so she repeats herself a few more times. I'm desperately trying to figure out what the hell she's talking about. Eventually it dawns on me. She's seen that the duck wants my sandwich, and she's trying to tell me how to make it go away. The duck isn't bothering me, and I really don't want to kick it, so I just smile and write okay. But this damn woman won't leave. She keeps standing there staring at me. So I sigh, comically puff up my chest to make myself big, look at the duck, and give it a small nudge with my foot. Nothing happens. The duck doesn't even react. It's still standing in the same place. At this point the woman goes ballistic. She starts yelling at me to f back to my own country. She hopes I choke on my sandwich and even says she's going to throw me in the canal and makes a motion towards me. I'm just sitting staring at her in utter disbelief. After she leaves I'm kind of in shock and trying to process what happened. I eventually realized that from her perspective it looked like I'd kicked the duck when I'd waved my foot at it and she was trying to call me out on it. To which I responded by politely smiling and then kicking the duck again while puffing up my chest to take the piss out of her. She's probably still telling people about the asshole animal abuser foreigner. I was probably one of many villains in my childhood best friend story. If you ask her, I ghosted her for a boy. I know she thinks this because I'm still in contact with her sister. In reality she manipulated me and gaslit me for our entire childhood and teenage years. She attempted to isolate me and made me choose between my other friends and her constantly. She would refuse to tell me what was wrong and then blamed me for not knowing why she was upset every time. It was always stupid things like I was drawing a dragon, which she saw as childish and uncool. What finally made me walk away was when she got mad at me for wanting to spend a few days with my BF alone. We were dating long distance. I hadn't seen him in over a year. She picked a fight over it and I begged her to forgive me, which she refused and continued to yell at me over page-long text messages. It caused my first ever major anxiety attack, which made her even more angry because I dared to not answer her for an hour while I was vomiting and trying to pull myself together. She had not answered my previous message for a week to cool off BTW, so it's not like I left mid-conversation. I decided to not answer her for a while after another round of "I'm so sorry" messages, and when I looked back after a bit, I realized how it was. I regret not trying to explain it to her why I had to walk away. Ghosting her was not the right thing to do, but I knew that if I tried to open the conversation again I wouldn't walk away. I'd end up right back where I started, and I just couldn't do that again. Her sister did ask about it a few years later, and I didn't have the heart to tell her everything that happened. She was aware of the manipulation and some of the shitty behavior though. She tried to warn me about it for years, but she was my best friend and I trusted her, so I didn't listen.